Okay, we have got yet another package with another convenient blue piece of tape covering up my address. These delivery people are really catching on. And look, you know what it is. You know what it is, but which one? And I'm going to surprise you this time because this is a new one. Well, newish. So let's, there's a convenient pull tab on the front here. Let's rip her open. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that wasn't very good, was it? Let's try this hand. That wasn't much better. Let's try this one. We've got more to grab onto this time. Oh, there we go. Isn't that satisfying? Let's see what we've got. Yeah, this is another one from AliExpress. They got some great selections on there. You should try it if you haven't. Nicely packed. We'll leave those inside that box. Put that over there. Alright, drum roll. Someone in the background there is in the games room playing Harry Potter, so if we hear any shrieks or explosions, that's what's going on. Pretty good game, by the way. There, and this one when I saw this one on that slot car guy Travis, his channel, he featured this on one of his Tuesday news episodes. I saw this and went, yeah, I like that, gotta have that. And then there was a major race, I think it was a GT3 race that weekend over in Europe, and I watched the whole thing, and this one came second. I thought, yeah, we've got to have that one. So it is, oh, look at that, that is sensational. It is the BMW M4 GT3. Look at the livery on that. That is, I don't know if it's as good on camera as it is in person, but that, I've got to tell you, that's the best livery yet. That's magnificent. It looks amazing. Since I've got quite a few Shell Helix signs about the place, I thought it would be only fitting to grab this one. Or maybe I knew I was going to grab this one, and that's why I put up the Shell Helix signs everywhere. You figure out which way it went. That is fantastic. Let's cut her open. I've got a scalpel here. Doctor, scalpel. Careful now. Careful, careful, careful. Oh, God. My eyesight is going. It actually is. It's going, and soon it might be gone. So, all the more reason to get in and build these kits and do all this stuff while I can actually see it. Great fun getting older. Let's pop the top. Yes, indeed. Oh, I can see we're off to a good start. No, it's just worked its way loose. Let's pop that back in there. Yep, fantastic. So, I can't see what is on the camera, but hopefully it's not out of focus. There you go. Look at that. Marvellous. The colours are fantastic. It's not high gloss, but it's not flat either. It's a sort of a satin kind of semi-gloss finish. But looks fantastic. And it's red-ish. Bit of yellow going on there too. And some black. So the other one has a running mate, and an amazing looking running mate. Thanks to that slot car guy for bringing this one to my attention. That leaves on my list, it leaves that new McLaren. That's about it. Oh, and there's a pull Porsche I've got my eye on too, but with Christmas around the corner, I think I'll have to wait. My credit card has taken one hell of a beating lately. Don't tell the wife.
Yes, it's sad, but so very true. This might be the last little treat I'm able to acquire for some time. We'll just have to get things back under control for a little bit. But doesn't that look nice? Now, let's have a look at all the things we couldn't show you last week during this epic Ferris wheel build.
I'm just been looking at this piece, and now that I've got my hands on the kit, I've been able to measure, and the thing I thought I'd be able to do with this, I'll be able to do it, but it's not ending up the way I need it to do, if that makes any sense. So after about an hour-long freak out, I realised, hang on a second, I also got one of these, the deluxe container cafe. Now, I wasn't planning on doing a build of this, an on-screen or a video build of this, because David Slot R recently did one, and frankly, his is the gold standard as far as the container cafe is concerned. Like, why even bother doing one? But I've realised the way this thing is designed, I must have been thinking something subconsciously, because as I sit here, I'm thinking, I can integrate this now as part of this whole build. This effectively will become part of the Ferris wheel, combining all these things, all these elements. Now, you're probably thinking, what on earth is he talking about? And I'm not going to tell you what on earth I'm talking about. You're just going to have to wait for the big reveal. But this just got exponentially more complex. Yikes. I'm going to do it in the same colour scheme and everything, but before I do that, I've got to be absolutely certain that this is going to work and do what I need it to do. And before I can do that, I've got to finish the actual wheel so I can get my sizings and positionings correct. So this may not be required after all, but at this point, I've come up with another cunning plan, how to integrate this with this. Because as you can see, there's little stairs, and then there's a top deck, and then we've got stairs and decks. See how it all sort of goes together? And if we painted all the same colour schemes, it should look, yeah, it'll be this little canteen at the base, and yeah. I hope I haven't given away the secret to what I'm doing here. Maybe I'll edit that bit out. On with the show.
And here we are once again in the Hughes Garage professional spray painting booth, and as you can see, I've been pretty busy with the Dulux Duramax spray paint. This particular colour is called Passionate Blue. Actually, it was the best looking blue I could see in the range. I was really after a metallic kind of navy blue to match that slot car more, but this one looked great, and I thought it would work well with the yellow and the red. And speaking of the yellow, here it is. It's called Dandelion Yellow. And just so you know, the red was called Hot Lips. All of these are in gloss. And now it goes without saying that this was somewhat of a challenge to paint. Getting that paint into the middle of the wheel, it was quite tricky. And with those westerly winds picking up, made it extra tricky. But I just took a fairly logical approach, as you can see, aiming at the centre from an extreme angle and slowly working my way around. It certainly did the trick. And best of all, it only took one coat. And while the wheel was out there drying, I decided to glue on these highlighted pieces. Don't they look fantastic against the blue frame? Great idea that was. These pieces are just glued into place with some super glue, as per the instructions for the Ferris wheel assembly. Not at all a difficult task, and very satisfying as they go on. The unit just looks better and better and better. Look at that. So much better than just painting it all the one colour, but that's just my opinion. Needless to say, by the time all the pieces were added, it was looking amazing. I couldn't wait to fit the wheel. But even at this point, I knew I'd chosen all the right colours, and that once it was all together, it was going to be next level.
Well, this is fantastic. I can show you these things now that you've seen the big reveal. Look at the way all these colours are coming together. The reds are really popping against that blue. individually they're quite strong colours, but when you put them together there's a sort of magic happens, and then you can see that's carried through into the container cafe, similar colour scheme. So it's really coming together. I'm just waiting for the paint to dry over here, and I ran out of paint, so I would have gone a little bit further with this, but look, I think it's good enough. Like, oh, what are those little red bits? Any kind of little moments here where it's not quite covered, it just looks like a bit of weathering, or the paint's chipping off. It doesn't have to be a perfect paint job. That's my excuse. Yeah, instead of having to race out and battle the zombies and get another tin of paint, I think it'll do, and I don't need any more yellow, so we're done with the yellow. Man, I cannot believe how good this turned out. I'm so happy. And again, look at the little red carts. They're going to contrast superbly with that, but once you combine all three colours, there'll be a real magic happen. So probably in the next shot, maybe, in the next shot I'm going to assemble this with the blue outer rings. That's going to look cool. And then we'll prop it up onto the stand and see what it's looking like. And we're just about ready to start fitting these, I think. That's exciting. I never thought I'd get there. I've got to add more of these Red Bull little labels on the back of these. I've done about 5 or 6 of them. Not too difficult, it's just a bit of super glue. These I've got to sand these a bit better. A couple of them are grabbing, so the things are not swinging clearly. I'm going to try, I've got a product for my guitars, and it's an anti-friction spray, lubricant, something. And I use it in the nut of the guitar where the strings go through, and it stops the strings from catching. It's like an anti-friction thing. And I'm just wondering if that would work on these. Like, it's timber, and, well, I guess it's timber on timber, but there's silver paint. I better read up on it, but I've used it on the guitar and it's wonderful. The tremolo system, usually you can have tuning problems, but a bit of this stuff on the nut of the guitar, the grooves where the strings pass through, and the guitar never goes out of tune. It's amazing. So I'm hoping that same non-friction formula, whatever it is, will work on these, and these will never get stuck. So, like I said, I'll look it up and study it carefully, because it might act as a glue. You just don't know. Now, to help make these fit in a little easier and limit the possibility of breaking something, I'm just gently filing the tips of these off on either side. So any excess width that has been added due to the paint, or any sort of rough irregularities, I'm getting rid of now, and I'm being very careful. I probably shouldn't be talking and filing at the same time, because I can't do more than one thing at the time. See, I can't do more than one thing at the same time. I just I'm not that gifted. Some of you can do a million things at the same time. I can't. One thing at a time. So, yeah, slowly working my way around, being very cautious. These will snap so easily if you do it wrong, and you're being gentle, you're not forcing it. I think I might have already made it all the way around, but this one's a bit rough. Okay, I'm going to give that a try. Here we go. Bring that roughly into position. And let's try and see if we can get these all in. I'm going to press them in first and then put dabs of glue on them after the fact, because if we glue it, put them in, and some go in, some don't, you bloody well stuck. It's yeah, it'll be a disaster. So I'll just take my time, leave me with it, I'll show you the result. Okay, great news, they all went in. I just used the flat of the file to gently press them down, and they're all seated in nicely. I'm going to go around and just dab them with some glue now and let them set, and then, yeah, well, I won't lift it up, then we'll flip it over and do the other side. This is so exciting. Well, this is a monumental moment about to happen. I've got the rings on, they're all glued in place. They fit well, no issues, beautifully seated. Every little point has been glued now, so that is a done deal. And what I'm about to do is put the axle through the middle, and I'm going to sit it on top of the frame. I think I'll risk it. It's secured down enough, so let's have a go at this, eh? Here's my axle. Lay it in there carefully. I'm just going to sit it in. It's not centered yet. Paint is still a little bit tacky. I might give it overnight to dry, but there it is. How good is that? Like, seriously. All that work, all that effort, and that is just paying off in spades. It has paid off in spades. That is amazing. And it's spinning freely. No paint. Look at that. That's amazing. Gosh, these guys at Magnetic Racing are clever. Very clever. Okay, what I'm doing here, I've got one of my guitar luthier tools. This is for filing down the nut I mentioned earlier. And I'm just putting this in here and just giving that a light filing on the inside. I don't know if that lubrication stuff would work on this, on the MDF. The MDF might react to it, because it is a liquid, it might soak it up and expand. And so I'm just smoothing out any like glue or anything in there, and then putting in the axle. I've given it a light sand too, there's nothing grabbing there. I'm not actually gluing these other bits on, I'm just pushing them on there. I'm leaving a little bit, half a millimetre gap so it can spin freely. And then I'm just currently throwing these up. Oh, this one's a printed one. Just putting these up temporarily, just to see how it's coming together. So that's a ball, that's one, that's a ball, that's one of those. They need to be glued in because they're coming apart, falling off, but look at that. Wow, what a fantastic morning. Gosh, I suppose I better clean up these palm fronds. Well, Predator's been staying away. Good, pool's still blue-ish. Let's see how these are going. Oh, there's my Shadow of Doom. Okay, yeah, this is the last remnants of blue paint in the can. It doesn't look very great, it's a bit patchy, but we're sort of spitting it out. These are the little caps for this main axle. These are the pieces I'm going to be cutting up, so I've tried to do it all with the same colour scheme.
Now, I did mention earlier that this paint is fairly non-stick.
Oh, good.
And, well, of course it sticks a little bit, but as you can see, a little gentle nudge with this stick,
nice.
And these parts are coming undone.
There's two more here. I know I did those. God, my memory's getting shit lately. Now these glorious pieces are the caps. Now what I've tried to do is make it very thick so you can't see that etched writing, but I'm still seeing that etched writing. But we'll have the ball graphic in the middle of those, either side. Cool. under there without buggering up the edge. And welcome to Shane's Pro Tips for Spray Painting. Yeah, I've got no other choice, unfortunately. This is, yes, it's amateur hour, but guess what? The results look freaking awesome, so what are you complaining about? Okay, I'll leave them for another 10 minutes or so. Well, it's Saturday. What a week it's been. I'm just adding some finishing touches to this now. Excuse the camera movement there. I'm going to try and do this one-handed. There we go. These little pieces hold the little finishing cap, which you can paint in any colour you like. No guess for what colour I've painted it. It needs that pop of red in the middle, and I think we'll put a little, might get one of these, see if we can find another one of these bull logos, and if I can cut out a perfect circle, I don't know how I'm going to do that. That'd look good in the middle, I think. So it's coming together. I've added these little end bits. What do you call them? Ferrules? Or something completely different. I'm so tired. What's the time? It's 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, this has been a big week, trying to fit too much in. But look at this thing, eh? Look at that. It's looking good. Looking good. I'm actually looking at it now and going, holy crap, did I actually make that? It's like I was in a daze for 6 or 7 days straight. But yeah, you can see where the inspiration came from now, can't you? Look at that. Which is kind of poetic, really. We put this guitar, we put this, I'm going to build a guitar very soon. We put this car together, and it's only fitting that we put together a matching Ferris wheel, because that's what you do, right? Yeah, on with the show. Yeah, one tricky thing was these Red Bull graphics. I ran out of photo paper, so I didn't have anything on hand to print. I suppose I could have gone and gotten some, but I was too wrapped up in this. But I thought, well, these ones, I've already printed these out, and there was enough to distribute between the text and the graphic. So I went, you know, Red Bull Bulls, just to spread it around, evenly around, the 7 of each. But it was a little bit too big when I cut them out for what I wanted. There was these bits extending, and I've used super glue, and of course I've got it all over my fingers. My fingers stuck holding it down. You pull your finger off and it tears off the top of the thing, and then you'd have to touch that up with a Sharpie, and it was an absolute nightmare. But you can see it's already starting to lift off very slightly, which is annoying, very annoying. I don't think it's bad. I think in a real world situation, well, would they build something like this in a real world situation and dangle it over the track? I don't know. Maybe I've given the corporate overlords an idea. Hope they send me a big box of those Chewits for my efforts. But yeah, it turned out okay, you know. You can get really picky and fussy, but I think for the most part it looks pretty spectacular. I still can't believe how good these silver highlights make the frame look. But yeah, it's definitely a Red Bull Racing team structure and a half. Kind of wish I'd had enough red paint to do this one in the same shade, and maybe done this in the silver. I've got another one to do. We'll see. And of course the cafe. I'm going to show you my idea for the cafe now, because this is going to be an integral part as to how they actually get up the stairs to ride this. The entry point will be about there, so those little, the whole thing on the ground level, I've just been painting them up, I'm about to take these out and spray those silver. There's a whole bunch of components, flooring and sidings outside. They've been painted. The last of the paint, I only just had enough. But it's going to be dissected and stacked. I'm going to create some stilts out of balsa wood and paint that. And the idea is, this is the entrance to the ride. So they sell the merch here, they sell the burgers and the spare ribs and the Red Bull giant gulps to get you fully lit. But that's why I haven't glued this on the back. So this will still function as, you know, an eating part. It'll give you some elevation. You'll be able to see the race going around you. But there'll be the wheel right here. So there'll be more stairs here up to another ramp, and then that goes this way, and then be another more steps up to another ramp here. It brings the height about here, which is what we need for them to get on the ride here. And the way this was set up on the bottom, these didn't even align so that there was one at each end and you can get on. I had a look at that. They were a little bit out. It was still one cab at a time. Well, God, what are we calling these things? Cabs, buckets, carts, death barrel. I like death barrels. This guy thinks it's a death barrel. But yeah, I thought, well, if it's only one at a time, they might as well do it at this position here. So I've got to build a structure to look convincing, to look like it's actually makes sense and purposeful. And this is the biggest challenge of this whole build, taking these pieces and actually carving them up. This is the main floor, so I'm going to carve it up to make these two stairway platforms, which are these ones. That's the width of the stairs there. Like I said, you've got to be thinking ahead. So stairs, there's the little step out bit. See how that lines up beautifully? So there'll be silver railings around this, and that'll be positioned about there somehow. So there'll be stilts going. Maybe the stilts will be glued to the side of this, just so it's not going to fall over. That might be the way to do it. So there's that. There's stairs coming off this end. So another one down here. So the second one should connect over here somehow. I'll trim a little bit off the ends and I will make it work. Actually, that's going to be stairs. So, yeah, something like that. I'll muck around with it in a moment when all the paint dries. For now, I better get out and paint these silver before the day starts catching up on me, which has been happening a lot this week. You get up early and then all of a sudden it's midday. You've got other things to do. All right, on with it. Oh, one more thing. This sign was bundled in with everything as well. I've painted the back of it black, and what the idea I'm going to do here is I'm going to set this thing up outside, and I'm going to shoot like a high-end advertising agency type extreme angle looking up into the sky and the sun, and then that image will be printed out. Well, I'll throw that into Photoshop and I'll give it some text, and that'll be the banner glued onto here, and it's going to have that super extreme angle, and over here it's going to say, "Come ride the big Red Bull." And that sits right there. So this is the ride entrance. So I just thought I'd mention that, so when you see it, you know it wasn't a fluke, it was all predetermined. Yeah, pretty cool, huh?
And at this point, working with such delicate components, I decided to take to it with a hacksaw. I'm serious, I'm not mucking around. No, I chose the hacksaw because of the nice thin blade. I wanted to inflict the least amount of damage onto this thing, just in case I wanted to ever put it back like this. Of course, one needs to really concentrate instead of watching that rocket video on YouTube. Yeah, back to the task. Oh, for Pete's sake, yeah, we get it. You're a big fan of alien space. Just please keep your eye on what you're doing. We only get one chance with this. If you mess it up, we're buggered. You can watch plenty of alien space videos later. Just concentrate on this cut. That's better. You've got this. And with that rather nerve-wracking process all sorted, it's time to smooth off the edges with a file. And gosh, you've got the TV in the background, and now you've got this dude on YouTube waffling on about something. It's a wonder you got this part of the build done, let alone achieve it without totally destroying the pieces. But there we are. This piece will glue onto that piece as such, and together those pieces will attach to the container cafe. Yeah. Okay, it's another bright morning and the pressure is on. I think we're going to get it finished. Well, it's pretty darn close. Look at that. Amazing. Love the colours. Now, check this out. We are, well, I am, well, I keep saying we are. I guess it's me and you lot watching. You're all spurring me on. I am turning this into a Frankenstein kind of thing, but in a good way. So this container cafe is now the Red Bull Racing. I guess it's the Ride gift shop. That's where you buy the tickets, and you can buy all the goodies as well. It's it'll be situated right next to the wheel, and this is how you get to the ride. You can go up here, you can observe from this deck, eat your Red Bull burgers, and you can continue up to this deck and so forth. And there'll be a little extended piece here, maybe, depending on how I configure this. And this is the height that lines you up to board the buggies or the carts or the death buckets at this height here. So the track will be passing underneath this. This will be elevated up. Now, whatever height this ends up, this part of the complex has to be on that same level too, for this to line up with that and make sense. So what I'm doing is I'm now turning to good old balsa wood, and I've been creating some stilts for this section. So I've got one more to go in. I was getting carried away and realised, hang on, I'm supposed to be videoing this. I want to see what I did. So I'm just taking the same approach as I did with those Marshall posts or Marshall towers I did way back. And so, yeah, this will be some post work. There'll be some going in here as well. Okay, so there it is, basically in position. You'll see it's pretty much the right spot. So I've got these stilts. I've got to put a little bit more detail on them, little crisscross things, but that gives you the general idea of the complex. There's the wheel, it's all clear, there's no collisions and working quite well. I think that's an idea. Again, this was the idea that hit me when I was trying to figure out whether we could do this or not. That you could carve up this bottom piece and create some sort of thing like this. At that point, the cafe hadn't even factored into it. I purchased this because I was going to have this in a whole different spot. Well, while I was doing the build, it struck me, I thought, okay, I've got this, I can cut this thing into 3 sections. But will that even be high enough? I don't know. One more. Oh, let's get that in there properly. There we are. Wait for it to... Oh, was that one too high? This is frustrating. Doesn't want to sit in the right spot. There we go. I'll just have to hold it there. Hopefully my thumb does not become attached to this build. Oh dear, I think it has. What am I going to do? My thumb is attached. Oh dear.
How am I going to explain this one? Okay, so as far as this part of the build, we're really at the business end. I've successfully put it all together. It looks convincing. It looks like it was actually purpose built. I'm going to give these stilts I've created out of balsa wood. Just going to go with the brown, bring up the same color as the decking. I think that'll do it. And then it's ready to take everything in and install. Now, installing, I use that term lightly. What that entails is I've actually got to build some raised platforms, some raised blocks that all of this, mainly the Ferris wheel, are going to sit upon. I've got to raise them exactly 8.5 centimetres above the surface of the track to get the height right, so that we can put a camera. We can still put a camera on the cars and pass them beneath the structure without any contact, without any damage occurring. So I want to get it as close as possible, but we don't want damage happening with the camera. So here we are. Stilts complete. It looks like a real one. Just come around the side here like so. So there we go. It turned out pretty convincing. I've still got to add a few little touches here and there, but for the big reveal, that should be good enough. It looks like a purpose-built building and structure. You'd think it was all one kit. And look, that's got a lot to do with the colour scheme, really. It just drags the eye in. That brown paint, it's a water paint. This is cheap stuff from a place we have here in Australia called Kmart. They're just acrylic watercolours, but it looks like the deck has been oiled. Looks really cool. So I did the same things with the steps, same paint on these stilts, carried the colour through, and I'll have a bunch of green trees surrounding this, so it should look pretty darn authentic by the time it's all in place. Okay, I've got one of the motors installed, good fit. Now, they make this part of the build a little bit tight, and they suggest you get some files. I've got these flat ones, and this one's got a curved top. So I'm just going in here and just filing down the flat sides, and then the curved one at the top and bottom. Just take a little bit off at a time, and then feed the motor in carefully and see what sort of fit we get. This one needed a minimal amount of filing, and I suspect this one will be the same. I'll get it around the right way. Oh, that's a good fit. Look at that. Oh, perfect. Perfect. So there we are. There's our motors installed. I might put a bit of black paint on the front of those just to make them a little bit prettier, or disappear. I won't make them silver, but that's looking good. And then it's just a matter of feeding the cable down through these little cable tidies they've got. Let me go hands free for a bit. Well, my version hands free. Put the bloody thing down. All right, through we go, through we go. I'm feeling a bit peckish. Must be lunchtime. Through. There we are. I now have 2 motors installed and 2 cables fed through the tidies. Looking fantastic. So that was damn easy. That was the easiest part of the whole build. So now I'll figure out the which is positive, which is minus, which way the wheels are turning. We want them both to be turning the same way. So one's going to have to be the opposite of the other. And they'll be wired in parallel onto that thing. Oh, this is getting exciting, too exciting, because this is like the final step of this Ferris wheel, aside from building the big mount. That's next. Oh, gosh, yeah, that's next. That's what this timber is for. But everything else has come together. I've even glued these things down. because they were giving me the horrors, moving and falling off all the time, so that's good. Oh, I still got to do the billboard. Yes, I've got to do that. Oh, and I've got to build the other stand, the light tower, and with blue features. So I'll do that one tonight. That'll be a nice 1 hour lazy thing. And that's nearly everything that Magnetic sent me. I think I've still got the super cheap auto half gantry, that bonus they threw in. I'll build that at a later date. I don't need to look at that now. I think needless to say, I'm a bit tired of building kits at the moment. This one has really taken its toll on me. Again, look at that. That's how good is that? Because of the way they design their kits, and it's all in the 1/32 scale, it should come as no surprise that, yeah, you can combine the different kits. You can Frankenstein them, you can mix and match, add bits onto the other with a little bit of imagination and a bit of balsa wood. Don't be afraid to do that. You're really only limited by your imagination with these things. And they look convincing when they're done. All right, let's wire this up, get the wheel on, and let's see it turn. Let's see what happens. We're on 4.5 volts. This is the moment of truth, folks. Will this thing turn? Here we go. Oh, I'm almost afraid to do this. I hope there's no smoke coming out. Will it work or won't it? Oh my God, it works. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, that is glorious. That is a thing of beauty. Holy crap. And a whole lot of bull too. Boom, boom. That is incredible. Okay, I've created these pylons, let's just call them blocks, out of layers of pine timber. I'm going to plane and shape the ends, probably give them a round. And I'm using one of the base plates as a stencil to mark them up with the holes. Okay, here's our first glimpse of the Ferris wheel in place, or at least the mounting frame. This is approximately where it's going, and up till this time I've had the Dunlop bridge sitting in there as a bit of a red herring, so people wouldn't guess what's happening with this thing. But this is, yeah, the idea. Have a look at the overall layout. You've got this angle here. Up in, we've got the opposite angle, but then next to it we've got this angle. So I thought, to keep a visual balance across the whole thing, we need a this angle here of something, which is the Ferris wheel. So when it's all in place, it will all fit nicely. It will all look pleasing to the eye. What's that, Fibonacci sequence or Feng Shui? Or oh dear, something like that. And look, it's looking pretty cool, but yeah, it's still massive. I've had to move the pit lanes down a bit, which is okay. They're now pretty well evenly centered on that pit lane. I'll redo this with some sprinkly. I think that's gonna work. Well, I'm glad I'm figuring that out now, eh? Oh God. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get out my excavation equipment and dig out some of those trees. Well, I've removed some already, but it's okay. I've relocated them, replanted them up on the cliff face. They're okay. But yeah, the end of the mound there, I'm going to have to chop that out, unfortunately. That's okay. So it'll end where those trees are. This thing will move over and butt up against those. I don't know if it's the right way around. And I might remove these shoulders just to make life a bit easier. This has got to be closer, I think. Yeah, so
this is where it starts to get tricky. Bringing this in and seeing how it all fits. Now, this thing has given me no grief. It's going to fit beautifully. Now, keep in mind it's all that way, another couple of inches, but that's going to look fantastic. Now, this thing has got to be raised as well, so it's going to be a sort of a hilly mound here. And I've got to create some kind of access to get to this. So more expander foam, oh God, I hate that stuff. More expander foam may be required to make this work. And I'm really starting to run out of time now. I'm hoping to do the big reveal this week. It's Tuesday morning. I want to upload on Saturday or Sunday evening. And I think this is going to be like a 90-minute episode, the biggest episode ever. Good thing it's a special craft edition episode. And through the wonders of technology, people, if they're not that interested, they can always skip ahead, can't they? Straight to the payoff at the end. Whatever. I think the journey is more fun. So here it is. This is how I made it fit. Isn't that clever? I'm feeling very, very clever. Not, because look at the mess. It's still going to be. I've got to now make this. Actually, it looks like it's meant to be there, which at the moment it does not. So this is, yeah, one challenge down, another one to tackle. But isn't it going to look fantastic? Like, look at that. That's going to be terrific. Particularly the big reveal. I'm going to bring the cars down under here. I'll have the camera on the car, and I might put it in slow motion, and it'll come under the bridge. And as it comes out, I wonder if we've got some lights we can sort of flick on. Wouldn't it be great to have fireworks explode in the background? Hey, I've got a big packet of party poppers. I could always get someone to hide behind the Mountain of Doom and let the party poppers off. All right, I've taken to the scenery with this knife. I've traced around these blocks with the knife. I want these to sit flat on the actual timber surface, so there's nothing to throw it out of level, nothing to rock on. Stability is key, isn't it? So both sides, that's looking like a mess at the moment, but the piece I've removed from the end of these trees will actually butt onto the end of the wooden structure at this end to cover that unsightly mess. And I'll just sprinkle some happy green magical dust on the back there to cover up that horrible mess. But not much damage, not much to change. And yeah, I'm going to make one more layer of the timber just to push it up a little bit higher. It's still sitting a little bit low. And here we are. I've finished off these blocks and given them a nice coat of black paint. So the next thing for me to do while the paint dries is to get on the computer and work on some graphics. We'll pretty this up with some logos and whatnot, and it should look fantastic. We're just a few minutes away really from installing the wheel into place permanently. So how good is that for a slogan? Ride the big red bull. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So these are going to be, I've done about 4 of them. I'm going to put one on this sign here, right next to the ride entrance up the stairs, and then the others I'm going to place around the layout. So there's definitely no short of advertising all around the circuit telling people to come and ride the big red bull. You know, that great big giant thing that you can't miss in the middle there. Come ride it. And yeah, no shortage of advertising. And then these turned out excellent too. I've got 7 of these to trim and glue onto the sides of the big blocks suspending the wheel. So the paint's nearly dry. I'll get these cut out, get them glued on, and then I'll show you the result. Okay, well, this is a monumental moment. I've finished the bases and brought them in to see how they fit, how they look. You know, you have these wild, crazy ideas, and you never really know what they're going to look like till you've got them on the table. But they're looking great. So the next trick to do is to use this piece from the Ferris wheel kit as a stencil. So I've marked these holes out carefully with a very sharp pencil, either end, and that'll get my distance correct. I've sliced out all this scenery, the manila folder things, and I've anchored these down so they ain't moving. They're heavy, they're solid. There's going to be no movement whatsoever. So the next trick is to get these carved out so that the frames can sit in nicely. They'll be spaced correctly. They won't be moving. I'm probably even going to lightly glue them in place so they can't be knocked easily. So, but check this out. These bits of artwork I did just look amazing. I'm very happy with that. Imagine that as you come through. It looks very convincing, like a proper built structure on a racetrack. I'm very happy with that. So I'm getting the jitters now. I'm nearly ready to put the thing on, nearly ready to put the wheel in place. How cool is this? There's not much to tidy up with the scenery, a little bit behind. I'm going to throw in some more trees, mainly just to cover things up. Well, bad news, those holes don't work. It will not go in. So I'm probably going to have to just find the next size drill bit up and redo them. We'll get there. So I'll do a take two, eh? Okay, I just had all the trouble in the world getting that seated properly. I don't know why. I've sighted it through. It's all level. But the good news is it's seated. It's sorted. I've even put a bit of PVA glue in just to help it sit properly. There it is. That's the frame. Now I'm going to let that glue dry for a couple of hours. I'm going to take a well-earned break and have something to eat and drink and eat and sleep and eat again. But as you can see, look at that. It's really taken shape. It's looking fantastic. It even looks like it was always meant to be there. I don't know about you, but yeah, it seems like it was always meant to be there now. If that makes any sense. But those Red Bull Racing little posters that are stuck all over it, they really add a touch of magic to the thing. And as you can see, as the cars pass through, it's going to look magical. Looking great. The next thing will be fitting the wheel when that glue settles and seeing if the thing actually works. Yeah, that it looks right. It looks aligned correctly. I've used the other piece as a stencil, so let's keep our fingers crossed. Hey, I can see now that this could be a pending disaster. The wheel might be slightly out of alignment, won't line up with the motors properly, won't turn properly. There's a gazillion things that could go wrong with this idea. I think that this exercise emphasizes the importance of the base that comes with this kit. It's of immense importance to the thing sitting correctly. I've done my best to get it accurate. Fingers crossed that it works. And voila! One Ferris wheel in place. It's working, it's turning. How awesome is that? Okay, well, I can't stand here all day staring at this thing. I've got to get on. We've got the rest of the models to go in over here, the cafe and all the scenery that supports it. I've got to build another platform the same height as this. Got to plant some trees, got to conceal wires, got to paint up some figures. There's a lot to do, but this is the major part. All sorted. One Ferris wheel. How good is that? What a massive task this has been. I've knocked it over in less than 2 weeks, and that's 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm fitting everything else I've got to do in. Man, I've been so busy these last 2 weeks. Definitely going to need a holiday. But there you go. That's looking fantastic, and I can't Can't wait to race the cars on this track. It's going to look amazing. All right, onwards. What I've done is I've had to create this fake building. And what this will be? This will be the Red Bull headquarters. It'll have I've got some of those stickers from the garages, those tacky ones that look like glass doors. I'm going to put them here, I believe, so it's like the entry. This will be Red Bull headquarters, the racing team headquarters. I'm going to paint it black like the other pieces. Probably more logos here and probably more logos here. Yeah, because the track runs along here. And I've got to manufacture some kind of stairway here. Now, all I've got is these things left over from I think it was one of the spectator stand kits. Those things there look like stairs. Now, but they're not to scale. They're a bit larger than a typical stairwell. If we look at the stairs over here, look at that. But I'm going to plant trees in front of it, and I think with these two pieces I should be able to bodge up a fake stairwell that'll, you know, from a distance it'll look like stairs. We're not going to look too closely. Eventually I'll build them properly, but for now, just so I can get this done, I'm going to utilize these and just cut some stair treads out of the balsa wood here to be thin stuff. So I am nearly done. Now what happens with this goes up here like so, and this piece goes on there like so. Now I'm going to have to hold that because the wheel is right here. This is where you hop onto the ride and risk falling through the crack and dying. Yeah, the council would not pass this. Well, it looks like it can kind of work. It is an imaginary little miniature world in there, isn't it? So the rules don't apply. But it looks convincing. So stairwell to get up to the cafe and then get up to the ride. I'm using the fences that came with the Ferris wheel kit that I didn't use. I've got them outside. They've been painted silver, so the fences are going to be all the way around the top here, etc. And what else? Oh yeah, I'm going to put this light here. I've drilled a hole to feed the cable through, so that's going to be glued there. All right, so that's pretty much how it's going to look with that up there. So I'm going to paint this base unit black. I don't think they'd plant grass up there, although I might actually plant a few trees along this line so that they've made like a kind of a garden bed, and it might actually be a bit green there on the garden bed. Well, I've got some brownie ballast. That might look like a sort of a garden bed, but a few trees up here would be great. Maybe a couple over here too. I don't... Oh, jeez, Christ, be careful, don't break it now. Actually, yeah, no, we don't need any trees there. That's our little load-in. That's where they bring all the cold processed burgers for the meat patties for the bull burgers. They hand them through there and whatever else they're selling. Oh, look, here's a quick access window if you want to get a quick order through, or you can go around and sit. I'm actually liking this. I don't... Call me crazy. I'd like to see them build this for real. I'd like to see them build something just like this for real. It's really cool. I'm liking it. And guys, actually, at this point, I think we are done, because you know what I'm up to, you know what I'm going to do. The next thing is to put it in place and film the big reveal. So there you go. That's part 2 of the big build, the Ferris wheel. What a marathon this was. But since you've already seen the big reveal last week, you know that it was pretty spectacular. Now, I've got a special treat for you this week. We're going to run the big reveal again, but only this time, the guys from Magnetic Racing actually filmed a reaction video.
So I'm going to put them in one of the corners, and we'll see them reacting to the big reveal video. It should be pretty entertaining. So thanks for coming along with me on this epic journey. We'll see you next week for the big lighting episode, perhaps. We'll see. See you later. And there you have it, Slot Car Adventurers. That was the journey that I thought would never end. Very Lord of the Rings, I think. Yikes. But we got there, and there it is. This thing is real. It's still here. It was not a figment of my imagination. I think it was a fantastic build. I did enjoy it. Took a long time. Was probably trying to fit too much into too short a time, really. But to the guys at Magnetic Racing, again, a marvelous product. You've outdone yourselves. And, I got to thinking, how do they top this? And then I realised, just like the idea for putting the Ferris wheel over the track suddenly hit me, another idea suddenly hit me. I can't recall seeing a Ferris wheel without its accompanying roller coaster. A slot car roller coaster. Yeah, not that kind. I mean a real roller coaster, one of those vintage wooden roller coasters. Now, one of those would lend itself perfectly to the laser cut MDF format. And of course, it'd have to be a working one. And then you've got to make it so that the track can be put through the middle and around and down and under the Ferris wheel. Integration is key. So there's a challenge to Magnetic Racing for 2024. We want to see a slot car roller coaster. We've got this. We need the slot car roller coaster. Let's see if they can do it, eh? All right, let's have a look at the big reveal once more. And here's the guys from Magnetic Racing, Ian and Doug, with their reaction video. See you all next week.
Good camera work.
It's so good. I'm like, my eyes are like, where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, I'm trying to look in different places. There it is.
What, is that over the track?
Home.
That is such a good idea.
I'm actually speechless. I actually got a couple of little goosebumps. My head is on fire.
Man, I love the yellow.
I love the Red Bull.
Oh no. Yeah, you've got a Red Bull fan, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, you're
Top
not
marks for that, Shane. Yeah, the Red Bull there.
I was thinking
the
Red Bull.
cafe.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's made an extra little stairwell that goes up.
Ah, it's the one on
the queue system.
Oh my god, it's the one on the other side. Oh no, it's that one.
Yeah, just that one there, that extra bit there.
Ah. Is that Mary?
Betty.
Betty.
Mary.
Mary. Why is Mary? And there's the other two girls.
That's one of your other girlfriends. Oh, I love that. I love the walling around the side. He's raised up the cafe.
Has he put the cafe on like another?
Yeah, later.
Or? Man,
Oh man,
so good.
I love the colours as well.
Yeah.
I just had red and white in my head all the whole time.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've done it as.
Yeah, they're all red and white, aren't they?
Holy, holy Mary.
No, Betty.
Betty. I want to say something else. I really do, but I can't. This is a family show.
Oh, the camera work's amazing too.
Yeah.
I like like on the top of those cars, it's like black and like in the gaps.
Yeah.
Like so when I in the build.
Yeah.
Oh, the Red Bull cars underneath, like it.
Oh my.
Well, that just shows it fits on any track, really, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. Oh, and he's done the poster, the big road.
I guess has he cut the frame in, like, and used the bits, which I reckon he's made like his own.
Wow.
So good.
Thanks for watching. Next week,
That was.
part 2.
Yeah, pause that. That's
Unbelievable.
absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I I couldn't even, yeah.
I imagined it being a bit like coming down from the ceiling on a hoist, like
Oh, it goes.
like the funfair was coming down or something. But no, that is so cool.
I couldn't see that coming.
No.
I always envisage it on that base
Yeah.
because it needs the base to hold it in.
Yeah.
But whatever you've done there looks like it's worked perfectly.
Yeah. So it's trying to get it, your mindset around not putting it on the base, and then it gives you so many more options, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So good. Well done.
Well done, Shane.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Fantastic.
Yes.
Cheers. Bye.
Until next time.